Welcome to the final day of the World's 2022 play-in group stage from Mexico City. Now we're in for an amazing and action-packed day with 2 main event group stage spots up for grabs and up to 6 tiebreaker games on the horizon today. Now in our opening game, Fnatic and Beyond Gaming are fighting to keep their dreams of that first place spot and a ticket to groups alive. I'm Dash, joined by Chronicler and Raz, where Raz has once again forgotten to tag us in his going live tweet.
Who needs to tag people?
What I gotta do? What I gotta do?
Person that matters.
It's Worlds, man. We expect you to step up. You know, it's another level, right?
I had a time limit, and I hit the time perfectly.
Raz, do you not like me? Is that
No,
it? You know, like
that's what it is.
We might try to
coming out.
Man travels.
We're doing great.
Man travels across the globe to be a guest in our home studio, and you can't even tag him in a tweet.
You do have the therapist look. I am just putting that out there.
I want to say, I don't know if I feel validated. Thank you. Let's talk about our emotions for a bit.
Well, we've got all day to work through those emotions, but let's first take a look at the standings of both of our groups. We'll start with Group A, where there's still a lot to be decided. Now, we do know that the Chiefs are eliminated from contention when it comes to the knockout stage, but for the rest of those 5 teams, all still alive and well with plenty to be decided. On the other side of things, we go to Group B, and we see DRX, RNG, MAD, and SGB. They are already locked into having shots out. Of course, still seeding to be decided there, so plenty on the line. With all that said, we ran through some of them yesterday. We had Jazz to do it. We've got Raz today. We're going to talk tiebreaker scenarios because there's all kinds of craziness that can happen.
Let's do it.
Anything from, you know, as little as 2 to all the way to 6, I think, Raz. Help us out.
We have a lot of tiebreakers. I don't know if I'm going to be the one that's helping you, depending on if you want a longer day or a short day.
Then why did we send you over to the telestrator?
Just to make it clearer, all right? So already, I think what people expect the most is a Fnatic EG win and a loud win, right? And we're just focusing on Group A because Group A has the most interesting scenarios. And if all of this happens, then what we would end up with is a 4-1 EG, a 4-1 Fnatic, and a 3-2 loud. So already in this scenario, what you end up coming up with is a situation where there's a tiebreaker for first between Evil Geniuses and Fnatic, and a tiebreaker between Detonation, Focus Me, and Loud to get into that top 4 echelon, to be able to fight
Beyond
in the
Gaming.
knockout.
I'll just correct you there. You said Loud.
Oh, yeah, you're right.
Beyond,
Beyond Gaming and Detonation, Focus Me. In this scenario, Loud would be confirmed, especially off of the win that they had versus Fnatic. That was a big boost for them.
So that would be, they would have at least locked themselves a best of 5 and an opportunity to get out with those first top 2 teams rather playing for the first seed. But that's not the craziest of all of our scenarios, right, Raz?
The craziest scenario, if you want chaos and more games, would be a situation where Beyond Gaming wins here, where Loud Gaming wins, and if Detonation Focus Me wins. And this would be a scenario where you would have Evil Geniuses go 3-2. You would have Fnatic go 3-2. That's the ugliest 3 I've ever seen in my life.
All right.
Boom.
There we go. I believe in you.
You got it, Raz. Get him.
Wow, beautifully executed.
The board. And that would be the nightmare scenario of a 5-way tie. And just as a reminder for people, it would just be based off of the fastest average game time for these teams that would lock them in a more beneficial situation in that tiebreakers.
Yeah, all you need to know is with a 5-way tie, 4 games will be played in order to determine or break that tie ultimately. And as you mentioned, average win time will be what seeds teams into that 5-way tie.
Absolutely. And this is all just talking about the scenarios, including Group A. The most exciting scenario would just generally be if Detonation Focus Me. Oh, we just don't get a screen anymore.
There you go.
Thank you. If DRX ends up losing to Mad Lions, then you actually have a tiebreaker between DRX, RNG, and Mad Lions. That's assuming with RNG beating, of course, Saigon Buffaloes. So there's also tiebreaker circumstances in that group. So there's a lot to talk about. We'll keep you guys updated throughout the day. That is what's interesting me.
Yeah, don't worry. We've got a foldy sheet behind the scenes, and so we'll keep you apprised as the day rolls along. Another thing I wanted to do as we're coming to the close of the play-ins group stage was talk a little bit more about champions and meta here at the World Championship so far. So this is a very heavy graphic.
My
it's a busy graphic, to say the least. So bear with me, and I hope we'll also be tweeting this out. So for those of you at home who really want to take a deep dive into champions at Worlds so far, you'll get to have a better look at it. But the important thing to note here is that this is every champion played or banned in Worlds so far, sorted by their presence percentage. So that top number, the percentage above them is the presence. So the only 100% presence champion we have so far at Worlds is Aatrox. I will make one small addendum. This graphic does not include the 10 champions that have 0 games played, but have been banned in situations. We're gonna try and get that updated as the tournament rolls along. So as we get more unique champions, we'll update this. But anything jump out to you in particular of this graphic, champions, either their win rates, their overall presence that surprises you?
Can I cheat and give you 2?
Sure, you can, absolutely. You can
thank you. The first one for me would be Aatrox. We talked about how he got no changes coming into Worlds, and he was already a really strong champion. We're outright seeing him being picked first in blue side in those situations that he's not banned in. So for sure, that confirmation is there. The second one, Teemo. This has to be the first legitimate Teemo pick.
Oh, okay. From that perspective, yes.
Legitimate Teemo pick, because ADD ended up winning, what, 2 games in Champs Queue with Teemo, giving him that negative confidence to bring it out on stage versus Aatrox. But he was also the player that gave us Zillion Top. And so for me, it's nice to be able to look at play-ins as a whole and be like, wow, that A is a lot of picks.
Yeah.
And all of them aren't troll, at least from the player's perspective.
For me, Chronicler things that jumped out were Ornn, for example.
Yeah.
Still actually pretty high up there in terms of presence. It was only 37.5%, but in the upper echelon of the list itself, but sitting at an 0-2 win rate.
Yeah, I think Ornn is a really interesting one because I usually like team fighting comps and play-ins. I think the games are pretty messy, and having a surefire way to get back, even if you go into an early deficit, is very strong. But Ornn's Aatrox matchup is just bad, and a lot of teams, we can leave the Aatrox open. It's been, I think, the most popular B1 pick by far.
Right.
I'm really surprised at the Poppy being so low priority, especially with Kalista still very high on the docket. It did get banned, but I do think that that might be a pick that in play-ins is going to be very low on the ladder, but then once we get to groups, expect it to spike again.
The other one that shocked me a little bit was Seraphine sitting at 2-2 in terms of record, 50%. I think because anecdotally, I just remember the Seraphine Hecarim Aatrox games from Mad, and I'm like, that pick is so strong. But it has taken a couple losses. It's not as powerful as I would have thought.
Yeah, and I mean, all of this is just with the caveat that this is all happening in play-ins, and the stronger teams within the main stage will give it credence. I agree. I think Seraphine is much stronger than expected. Same with Ornn. So Ornn, these picks will for sure find a higher win rate.
And that's why I'm excited to see that graphic updated all throughout the World's tournament. Now let's get to today's schedule and the 6 regularly scheduled games that we have in front of us. We kick things off with Megabank Beyond Gaming against Fnatic before we jump over to Loud versus the Chiefs. Then Detonation Focus Me will go up against Evil Geniuses. That will conclude Group A's regularly scheduled matches. Then we'll hop on over to Group B to see how things break out there. So that is important to note that in that after that third game of the day, we'll have a sense of what our tiebreaker scenarios will already look like.
Yeah, there's a lot of diverging paths. Now, even though I am more tired than ideally you'd like to be.
Strap in, my friend.
I would love to be a part of League of Legends history and go to 12 games.
12 games.
It's also a path of chaos. It echoes, Dead FM getting a big win last year around as well. There's a lot converging there. I wouldn't mind it, even though I don't think by the end of the 12th game I will be...
Dagda and I barely survived 10 last year at Worlds. So, man, if we get 12, woof.
Good luck.
Woof.
The game that I'm looking forward to is the DRX one versus Mad Lions. That one, I think, is a heavy hitting match. And that could easily just be 2 added, or at least the tiebreakers being added.
Well, I like that you're looking forward to it because it is our featured matchup presented by Mercedes-Benz DRX against Mad Lions. Again, such an important matchup in determining what will be the final results in that Group B. If DRX locks it up, they're uncontested first. But if Mad takes them down, then it gets really interesting as we see Mad, DRX, and even RNG back in the picture to fight for that 1 seed.
And even though DRX thus far have been able to, the most notable win, of course, the one being against RNG, against the minor region teams you'd expect an LCK team to have the performance that they did. But this is a team where I think LCK fan is still a little worried because their domestic performance has not always been consistent.
Yeah. But I feel like you're the only one who's, like, the LCK fans are the only ones who are worried. Because for the rest of us who are watching DRX at this tournament, I have full confidence in this squad right now. They they look unbeatable in play-ins.
I've seen things happen domestically that I'd rather not discuss because they hurt me a lot. But with Baron Bioshik playing, anything can happen.
And I've seen enough of Zeka smurfing this tournament to be like, they've got it in the bag.
We'll talk plenty more about it as we get towards that game. I think it's game 4 of the day. For now, we're going to hop back over to Group A, where we got BYG up against Fnatic here to kick things off. Now, this is a massive game when it comes to Group A results because the entire 5-way tie hinges on the result of this game as an example. So if Fnatic win, they guarantee a top 2 finish and a potential tie with EG for that top 2. If BYG wins, we still have the opportunity to see a 5-way tie in Group A.
Yeah, and we shouldn't even be having this conversation with how Fnatic has been doing right at the get-go. It felt like they started off this tournament really strong, pentakill for upset, and then in his second game, and we were like, okay, if this is how they look with the sub with Rux, like how would they look with Hilly? And it hasn't been good. But I don't expect them to fall short. I expect them to actually learn a lot from their loss to Loud and come up stronger.
So to this point, Fnatic does not look infallible, but Beyond Gaming also has to find a way to achieve victory over Fnatic. So talk to me, Chronicler, a little bit about the difference in this team that we've seen compared to maybe what we expected to see based on their domestic performance here at Worlds.
Because talking to experts on the PCS, this was a team that was the epitome of lose early and then come back. Find a good team fight angle, find a good macro call, find a snap second decision that gets you back in the game. But at Worlds, it's kind of been the opposite story, where their early game, yesterday was a perfect example against that Nation Focus Me, they get a great lead, and then they have one very subpar fight around the Dragon Pit, and then they never really are able to pull it back. So it feels like maybe they are still trying to adjust what is the current meta to what worked for them domestically.
Definitely concerning if that's where, or the part of your game where you're falling apart against a team like Fnatic. But all of our eyes are on Fnatic in this first game, where the team and jungler Razork are looking to take a huge step towards the group stage in this debut World Championship. Let's hear from him in our latest OnePlus Welcome to the Rift episode.
Hello guys, I'm Razork. I'm the jungler from Fnatic for the LEC. My journey to Worlds, honestly, was very challenging. We were against the wall many times. We were one game away of not making it to playoffs, and we actually managed to pull through and make it to Worlds. Honestly, playing at the highest level, it means a lot to me because it's a dream that I've been chasing for a lot of time. And playing against the best players in the world, it's a big challenge and something that I'm looking forward to do. I want to take this Worlds as a learning experience and see how far we can go. To all of the fans watching around the world, I would like to say, obviously, thank you for the support, and I will make sure that we will make you proud.
First Worlds from him, and it's been a great one so far. I still will always look back to that Chiefs game that he had. His Lee Sin game was really oppressive. So honestly, this team has a lot of carry threats, and I want to see a little bit more from him. Obviously, that one game that I keep going back to it, the one game that they had versus Loud, started with a really unfortunate Skullcrab fight, but his level of play, especially around Humanoid, has been the highlight for this team. This is the one kick angle that we saw versus Tally when the Chiefs were on Rift Herald. And in general, when the Chiefs were making one play, Razork immediately buzz lines to the other side of the map, makes a play. This is the type of player that I love to see, and he's making action happen early in the tournament.
Buzz line, I like that. It's the evolution of making a beeline. You buzz all the way there.
Making noise, no one can stop you.
It's fine. What you doing? A buzz line in the bot lane, bro.
Oh, no.
That's too good. I love that, Raz. All right. Final thoughts, predictions on this match. Do you like League of Legends? Chronicler, you were talking about, liking the idea of a 12-game day. There's only one result you can hope for if you want 12 games.
Yes, that's the result I hope for, but I think Fnatic will win.
Okay. Fair enough. He still has the out. And Raz?
You know, no, my brain is telling me Fnatic. I'm keeping to Fnatic.
Okay, fair enough. I do think, general consensus would be that Fnatic is the favorite here and should take this. But as we know, things don't always go to chalk here at the World Championship. But with the teams just about ready and the clock counting down, it's time for us to get out there and kick this day off.
good here.
Pra ser sincero, eu tô feliz, mas eu sei que eu quero mais.
And the crowd goes wild, wild. Take down Fnatic.
Quero, no mínimo, chegar em Nova York. Quero ter esse resultado histórico pro Brasil. Acho que esse é o grupo certo para isso acontecer. E a gente tá indo pra cima para buscar essa vaga.
And it's just not one member stepping up from Loud. It's all of them. And it's just beautiful League of Legends. The auto fight goes in Evi's favor. It's the clean 5-0 ace. Detonation focus me. 2-2 now here at Worlds.
イビルジーニアスも本当に強いチームだとは思うんですけど、僕たちがしっかりと自分たちのパフォーマンスを出せれば、勝てない相手ではないと思うので。
Yeah, I'm excited with DFM, and I'm confident against Even.
This is a guy with a very large champion pool. He's one of the main reasons you can call DFM so versatile.
He is champion pool kind of weird. He played random champ, so I need to be careful, I guess.
まあもう僕自身もベテランの域に入ってきてますけど、やっぱりまあ向こうは僕を上回るベテランなので、本当にここは経験の勝負になると思うんですけど。
Nothing that they can do. DRX dominate.
플레이는 진짜 딱 워밍업 정도라고 생각하고.
The flash in for Zeka gets another, and it's DRX winning this fight. They don't need bullet time. They've got the kills.
DRX in team fights, actually we can match them for sure. We are like a top 4 team in these play-ins.
네, 앞으로 매드 경기 꼭 이기고 그룹 스테이지 올라가서.
RNG clawing closer to the number 1 and number 2 positions.
等待着他们的将是赛场之上的艰巨挑战。
打他们的话，我觉得就自己失误要减少嘛，然后信心的话肯定是基本是很高的嘛，那就基本会以尽量去打得更好，然后去赢下他们。
đã rút ra được khá nhiều kinh nghiệm từ những trận thua và những trận thắng thì bọn mình cũng có rút ra được nhiều kinh nghiệm. Grip ở trận đấu sắp tới thì đường trên sẽ là cuộc đối đầu máu lửa.
在妹赛的时候，这个打法就已经见过了，就打得特别凶。我们是很有信心打赢他们。
Don't ever say it's over if I'm breathing. Raise it to the moonlight and I'm speeding. I'm headed to the stars, ready to go far. We'll start walking. Don't ever say it's over if I'm breathing. Raise it to the moonlight and I'm speeding. I'm headed to the stars, ready to go far. We'll start walking.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the 4th day of competition here at Worlds 2022 and the final day of the play-ins group stage. I'm Captain Flowers and I am joined for the first time on the cast by Dagda. How you doing, my friend?
I am so excited for this. I've been looking forward to this all week just to get a chance to finally cast with you after, I mean, it feels like it's been ever since we actually got a chance to be on the same stage together.
Oh, yeah, this is going to be amazing. We are starting it off with one of the top games of the day as well. We got Fnatic going up against Beyond. Fnatic, one of the 2 teams in this group that has their fate in their own hands.
Yeah, I mean, look, after a disappointing loss yesterday to Loud, they feel like they're going to be looking to bounce back, right?
Yeah.
I think especially against Beyond Gaming. And Beyond on the opposite side, trying to see if they can push us into what is going to be a bedlam of a day if they can start to out us into those 3-2 lineups.
Absolutely. So for those of y'all who might not be super familiar with what the current stakes of this are, Fnatic, if they win this one, they'll be at 4-1. Evil Geniuses would be the only team in the group that can catch up to them. So you're guaranteeing yourself 1st or 2nd place no matter what. If you're a Fnatic fan or somebody who don't like tiebreakers, that is your squad. Beyond, on the other hand...
You love tiebreakers. What do you mean?
Oh, yeah, of course, of course. But if you do want tiebreakers, or if you're a big Beyond fan, or if you want Evil Geniuses to run away with it, Beyond is the squad that you're looking for. A lot on the line for everybody here. We're about to jump into Champ Select. I'm excited to see how this one plays out, particularly around some of the things that the desk was talking about, looking at the drafts, looking at how things are picked and banned, the 100% presence of Aatrox so far.
Yeah, well, we have to see if it's going to be coming through. Humanoid is still going to have his Victor banned away from him. I think like things like the Aatrox, the Kai'Sa is still going to be very high priority, especially since Fnatic have banned away the Kai'Sa in the majority of their games here as well. And the Aatrox gone now. I'd be very surprised if it wasn't that Kai'Sa last ban here for Fnatic.
I feel like red side Aatrox ban is going to become more and more common with how often teams are willing to pick it first side on blue. It's just one of those no-brainers at this point. So there is the Kai'Sa ban taken away by Beyond. Final ban of this first half is the Amumu. So Amumu, Aatrox, Hecarim banned from Fnatic. Victor, LeBlanc, and Kai'Sa banned by Beyond. What will the first pick be?
So I wouldn't be surprised to see a Sylas locked in here, or maybe even the Graves that's been left open as well. I think Graves still has a really strong spot, but Minji has actually looked great on the Sylas. It looks like that's what they're going to go for here.
Love to see it. Love to see it. Sylas is one of those champions where, depending on his strength, you know, sometimes you need to see a good ultimate to steal before you lock him in. But when the priority goes up enough, when he's strong enough, when you know how this game is likely to go, they're not afraid to throw that down immediately. Maokai and Akali, the response.
And I was about to say, you know, 2 decent ultimates there for the Sylas to steal away, but Akali has kind of been the answer to the Sylas, at least at World so far. But it has been a bit of a mixed bag, and we'll have to see if Humanoid can try and power that through in the laning prowess, especially when you got the Maokai there alongside him. Should be able to try and set up for a decent mid jungle, but the Sejuani here, you've got the Sylas mid, now you add another melee top side skirmishing is going to be insanely strong for Beyond.
Oh, absolutely, and we're seeing kind of similar drafts here so far. We got these mid lane, like AP type of assassins, Sylas a bit more of a bruiser, but then a couple of meatballs on either side as well. Both of these sides going to get a little scrappy here as Kai'Sa is locked in for Beyond. Kai'Sa plus 2 melee champions. This is looking like a torpedo comp to me.
Yeah, it definitely is, and especially like this is just going to be full short range, which honestly works out pretty well for something like the Maokai. Now I do want to, I was about to say, throw up the caveat, Maokai was played by Hilly in that support role, and it looks like that might be the same story that we're going to see here. It looks like Razork is going to grab the Graves, which works out super well against something like the Sejuani. Sejuani likes where she can have a little bit of an easier time in the jungle, won't get invaded, won't get her camp stolen away, but that's exactly what Graves wants to try and do.
Graves also incredibly good at setting a high pace, a high tempo in the jungle. You got to be able to keep up with them, so accelerating that game forward and keeping some safety, some priority there for something like an Akali that likes to have a little bit of time to scale up is always nice. Second half of the bans, let's see what it'll be. Gnar banned out by Fnatic, Beyond banning out Caitlyn. We do not have mirrored drafts on either side. There's only an AD carry drafted for Beyond. Fnatic still has to get theirs, so I'm not surprised to see Beyond targeting that marksman.
Yeah, and I think, look, I like the Gnar ban. I'm curious to see what Renekton is going to happen with here, because I feel like when you have such a short-range composition on Fnatic's side, and you want to try and play through like your 3 melee tops on the top side, something like Renekton just does incredibly well here. If like our Likai, wants to try and go towards that, and even just being able to have that dive set up alongside something like the Kai'Sa, just everyone go in, I feel like it works super well here for Beyond.
All right, what's that final ban going to be here for Beyond? Fiora was taken off the table by Fnatic. Beyond, they're taking their time with it, really thinking about it. Misfortune banned away, another champion we've seen plenty of, generally does very well in those AoE team fight focused comps, but they're not going to get it this time around. Fnatic, what is the choice here in the marksman position? I expect that to be the pick here on 4th, and they saved that last pick to see what the entirety of Beyond's draft will be.
Yeah, it looks like it's going to be the Aphelios. Has a decent matchup into the Kai'Sa as well. And I think if you want to go for something like the Ornn here for Wunder, set up just really beefy front line. You got 2 great AD carries in the back with the Graves and the Aphelios, and just Humanoid kind of playing a bit of a nuisance in the back line. It could work super well. But again, I think for Likai here, something like a Renekton could do great if you want to try and go towards that. I would imagine something like a Nautilus or Leona probably going to be the pick here for a Kino, just something that can immediately jump onto that Aphelios.
Whoa, we got some Jacks locked in for Beyond and for Likai going up against Wunder, willing to throw down that gauntlet and say, all right, let's see what you got here in the top lane.
It does give a lot of side lane prowess to them as well, so especially if Minji and Husha can get involved in that mid lane early, set up Minji where he's got a bit of an advantage over Humanoid, there's a chance then that you can actually start to play through these side lanes, because Fiora's gone, Aatrox's gone, there's not a huge amount of things that kind of match that prowess of the Jacks in that top side.
And Nautilus, the final pick here for Beyond. So it's pretty much what I was expecting when I see the Kai'Sa picked. Everybody on this team wants to go in. They got one direction they can move, and it's forward.
Also, just a great color scheme. Nice
yeah,
and blue.
We got shades of purple and blue.
Just jump in, get on top of people, make upsets life uncomfortable. That's why I love things like the Nautilus here, because it's just that go button, right, that everyone else can follow alongside. And then Wunder, I actually like that they pivoted from the Ornn that I was talking about into the Gragas, because you just said, hey, everyone jump into the party. Well, Gragas is like, no, get out of here.
I actually love that as the last pick of the draft for Fnatic. It seems like such a good use of red side pick 5 to get such a disruptive champion for melee opponents into a comp that really just wants to dive.
Yeah, there's so much counter engage as well, right? The Gragas, you got the Maokai ultimate, like it's so many ways to try and deal with everyone that's trying to get in on top of you, and that also opens up Humanoid if he's able to find these flank opportunities to go for these plays. So I'm super excited to see how this one back's out, because it feels like whichever team gets that early lead is going to have a much easier time throughout the rest of this game.
And as we're about to load in, remember the stakes are huge for this one. A win for Fnatic guarantees them first or second in the group, which means you either get a free ticket out or you at least avoid playing the stronger opponent from the other side, which most people are predicting to be RNG, so that's a big bullet to dodge. But for Beyond, if you win here, all of a sudden you're tied with Fnatic in the standings, and things are going to get very wild very quickly.
Yeah, and exactly for Beyond, that's what they're trying to push forward, trying to see if they can move on with their PCS brethrens with Flying Oyster in the actual group stage, but it is going to be a tough one. Beyond been a little bit messy in some of their games. It hasn't been as clean, but I mean, if you're looking at transitive properties, right? Okay. Loud beat Fnatic, and then you look at Beyond beat Loud. So therefore, through transitive properties,
Beyond should have the answer.
Yeah.
Okay, we'll see if they can do it. Fnatic really wanting to bounce back after, I think what was a surprise for a vast majority of fans yesterday, dropping the game to Loud. Fnatic was looking really good before that, right? Like, they showed up on day one where they had a substitute support. They were like, all right, we're gonna rock this, let's go. They're looking like #1 team. And then Brazil just roars to life and takes them out. So today's competition is gonna be very fun, my friend.
I think Brunsei kind of said it, right? Bot diff with the yellow flicks on them. It was pretty sick. But honestly, I think Sylas had an incredible performance on the Amumu. The Loud have kind of gone for this Amumu misfortune combo over and over again, and unfortunately Fnatic just fell afoul of it, right? So now we'll have to see if they can find a little bit more ease of action in these team fights, where they're not just ending up against this massive big wombo combo. Still a very aggressive team coming through from Beyond Gaming, but something that should give Upset a little bit more breathing room when it actually comes to team fights.
And even when we looked afterwards at the outcome of that game and we were interviewing Yamato, talking to him about Fnatic's performance yesterday, he was like, look, this is just the result. When you play bad, that you're going to have bad results. Those weren't the exact words, but I can't repeat the exact words here on this part of the show. But he got into the fact, he was like, hey, this is what no practice looks like. We didn't play well. We had a bad game. Their heads are in the right space. They know they goofed up. But the nice part is their performance before that was so good that they still have an opportunity to make this group their own with their own play, and that's what they're going to try to do here in this one. We are on to the Rift, my friends. Beyond in the blue, Fnatic in the red, runes popping up on your screen right now. All 4 of our solo laners having teleport, both of our AD carries taking clans.
Yeah, nothing particularly crazy coming through in the runes. I mean, Wunder going for that phase rush is just super nice for trying to avoid any sort of all-in potential that Likai is going to try and go for. You just bop him, throw down the cask, and walk away with the extra speed up. But across the board, still be looking at, Beyond should have decent push in the top side in their mid lane as well, especially if Husha can try and get in. And it feels like a huge amount of this early stages is going to rely on Husha. Like, the rookie of the split in 2021, this was the man that a lot of people are talking about who had to step up for Beyond Gaming, and this game is going to be no different.
And Fnatic, you know how they love to enable Razork as well. They like to let this guy take over the jungle, get some priority in the lanes, let him invade and support him. So I'm hoping we get some scrappiness nice and early here, not just some full clears.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not going to lie. Razork's Poppy still gives me nightmares. Like, that was absolutely insane in playoffs. The man was a man with the mission in mind, and he executed brilliantly. So we'll have to see now if he can do the same on the Graves, right? Getting as invades, as you say, trying to get into the face of Husha, who I feel like expected to be up against the Maokai, and then Fnatic pulled a bit of a tricksy on him.
Exactly. You got to be careful around that Graves, especially when you're just playing a tank jungler. He's going to win those duels every single time unless something goes egregiously wrong. But both of our junglers are starting on their own red buffs. You can see Razork stepping back to clear the Krugs, wants to make sure he's getting the full clear on that one, cycling the camps a little bit more efficiently, whereas Husha not having quite as good of a clear on the Sejuani. He's just going to move straight up towards his blue quadrant, make it so he can get out on the map a little bit faster.
Yeah, and I like this because in theory you should have push coming through from Jax. He can always come in and support you, and again, just the skirmishing power that you have on this top side with the triple melee for the Sejuani is obnoxious to deal with. So I think we'll definitely see Razork, as you look at it now, trying to lean more down towards this bottom side of the map where he won't have to struggle as heavily with that. But there you can see Likai getting some good trades against Wunder in this top side.
Yep, he's just beating him around with the stick here a little bit early on. Wunder will be happy to step back. Of course, with the Gragas, you have so much AoE in the kit, it's very easy to thin out these waves as time passes forward. So even if Likai takes the control over the wave nice and early, shouldn't be that big of a deal right now. Looking across the board, there's no huge leads showing up anywhere just yet, as that's one of the interesting parts of this matchup. Gragas' body slam overrides almost every other movement ability in the game, so you can always stop other people from hitting you with it.
Yeah, he's got the biggest of bellies, and he makes full use of that, but might need a little bit more help here, because it looks like Beyond trying to set up for some sort of play on top side. Pushing mid, though, means it will be incredibly dangerous, and it looks like Husha is just going to back away, make sure that Likai instead can just crash this wave.
Exactly. Looked like he was just on Razork detection duty there, making sure his Jax wasn't about to end up as the victim of a gank. He'll move down into the top side river to take that Scuttle Crab. You can see the second Scuttle Crab hasn't been attempted yet because Razork cleared more camps. He did clear the Krugs, like I mentioned earlier, so slightly slower getting to the Crab, but he is ahead overall, and now he'll clear this one out, no problem.
Graves going for a full clear.
I can't imagine. I cannot imagine a Graves player.
But here we go, Razork trying to get in the middle here, just seeing if he can spot out exactly where Husha's gone for. Husha did, in fact, go back down towards his Krug, so will spot out Razork, because maybe he goes over the wall, but actually just gonna reset here after getting that ward up with the Raptors.
Yeah, it feels a little risky to go around looking for the Krugs. Sejuani might not be a good fighter, but she's excellent at locking you down, and you know the bottom lane wouldn't be shy about getting in the mix too if that broke out. I like him just backing off, takes the purchase, goes home, grabs a couple of long swords and a control ward, and he'll be right back out. That ward on the Raptor pit, I think, was also really important. He knows those timings. They'll be able to keep track of Husha a little bit better there as well.
And that's the big one, right? You're looking at Humanoid having push in mid. You've got push on bot side for Upset and Hilly as well. So what you're trying to set up here for Razork is, look, I'm going to try and take out some of these camps on top side and then immediately use the push on bot side. But having spotted out Husha here, looks like he might just try and get in and steal away any camp he can find. But right now, Fnatic are doing a really good job of tracking where Husha is, and that's just kind of the best form of attack for them right now. If Husha isn't getting into these lanes and interacting with them, we can just have Humanoid and Upset keep playing through their advantages.
Razork's gonna make a trip up to the top side. Wunder's got no mana to set him up, so Likai can just jump away very easily. But I do want to point out a minor thing there. As we saw Razork invade the enemy jungle, set down a control ward. He did not shoot the Scryer's plant. He shoots it now, because if he would have shot it earlier, they would have been able to see that on Beyond side. They would have known he was nearby. He would have foiled his own gank somewhat. So I like the fact that he had the patience, not setting that off until a little bit later, but now he heads back into his own jungle. Sejuani's back up here. He doesn't want anything to do with it anymore.
No, just going to back it on out, go back to clearing his camps and making sure he's all good and dandy. But again, like, this is going to be fine for Fnatic. They just want to make sure that Husha isn't doing anything too crazy on the map. Like, he can look at the bot side, right? Upset, getting a nice little CS lead for himself, continuously just pushing the wave alongside Hylissang. They're going to be okay to just keep going, because Kino and Wako can't try and go that ham in the lane, because the second they try and go in, Hilly can lock you up. They've got good disengage, you buy space for Upset, and suddenly that becomes a very different story in that bottom lane.
Yeah, those fights can be really scary, especially against Aphelios. I mean, obviously the champions had lots of memes about him, but hold on now. Humanoid and Minji getting into a bit of a scrap. Minji with a stolen ulti. Humanoid's trying to run away. A little bit more damage. And Minji with a solo kill on Humanoid to open the game.
Minji stepping up big there. Humanoid takes that little bit too far of a step underneath the tower, and Minji turns it around. A player that's had to step up big for Beyond. A lot of doubts were tossed his way, but kind of silencing both them and Humanoid right now.
Now, it is important. He had to go underneath the turret. The turret damage makes it a 1-for-1, so it's not as bad as it could have been for Fnatic, but that's a big confidence booster if nothing else. Humanoid has been one of the showstoppers here for Fnatic. This has been a guy that can pop off. Kino now in a bit of trouble down here underneath the tier 1 turret. Razork, no level 6, so we can't just try to snipe this Nautilus down. Oh, that dredge line. If that was just a couple of pixels closer, that could have lollipopped and hit him, and they might have had something way different going on.
Yeah, it looks like Fnatic are just going to back away. Wasn't sure how aggressive they wanted to go with Humanoid having push in mid, but instead, Razork going to be happy to just steal away the camps. Kino did the job he needed to, though. froze the wave there, means that Wako can catch the majority of that wave, not fall further behind, and he'll just go for a reset himself now. But Razork still hovering around Minji.
Yep, Razork hovering here, stealing away those Raptors, makes it very easy for Humanoid to trade aggressively here because he knows the only way Minji can kill him is with an all-in, and if you do that with Graves right there, well, good night, sayonara, see you later. That's not going to go too well. So Minji underneath the turret here yet again. Let's take another look at how this first blood happened.
This was just really well played by Minji. So you can see Humanoid tries to go aggressive, ends up landing the shuriken flip, but the second he does, Minji actually goes back underneath this turret with his own dash and just catches Humanoid on the edge of turret range. Already has the perfect execution stolen, so manages to just follow up and chase him down underneath the turret.
And I like how he waited for Humanoid to flash first because he didn't want to give him the chance to outplay there against the stolen perfect execution number 2. Had the patience, had the execution. Well done from Minji there. Back up here on the top side, things are pretty much the way they've been the entire game. Gragas and Jax just farming back and forth. About a 1-wave lead here for Wunder, so has been able to collect a couple more minions there, just building those modest advantages. And I think that's one of the reasons why when we look at the gold up here in the top, despite tied kills, it is a decent little lead for Fnatic.
Yeah, and a lot of that is going to be this bot side as well. And the reason we're not seeing Beyond try and overcommit resources to this top side is Upset has a great freeze here. So he's only just creating this slow break here. So you can see that the Nautilus had to start to teeter down to this bot side. Kino wasn't sure if he needed to help break that with Wako. But it looks like Wako's kind of said, no, they've started this slow push out. I'll be fine. Go take the Rift Herald and make sure that we can actually get some gold back in the favor. I think they need to use this bot side though, because, I mean, look at the 22 CS lead essentially that's opening up here in this bottom side.
And it's not like that's 22 CS lead on an early game champion. Minji though, this could be bad. Remember that, oh no, Husha's ulti goes wide and Humanoid goes in. Fnatic's mid laner gets revenge as Hylissang goes in on the bottom side, finds a bit of damage here, has to walk back away. Nicely played from Fnatic.
Good turnaround, and again, just getting more gold for them. So even though you end up with a little bit of an advantage coming through with the Rift Herald, the plates are going down for Upset in the spot side. They're getting kills. Razork again is getting in and stealing away so much of Hush's camps as well. I mean, Fnatic, they're controlling this early game so well.
Yeah, nearly a 2,000 gold lead just 9 minutes in. Feels great for these guys. You saw them commit the ults bottom for the plates, and here's what happened to Minji. They knew he didn't have a flash from the fight earlier.
Yeah, just spotted on the edge there. Razork comes around, and I mean, it's a good attempt from Minji, thinking that, look, we've got the Sejuani here, we can actually try and turn this, but doesn't realize that Razork is there. And splitting the uprights here for Husha is heartbreaking for Minji.
The Graves ulti flew out, but they didn't even need it. That Sylas was toast, man. Nicely done from Fnatic. Like I said, the bottom lane, they gave up the ultis to force the plate because, again, going back to what you're talking about, they know that Beyond isn't committing a ton of resources down here. They're not coming down here. Just spin the ults, grab the plate, get the money, whatever. You should be ready by the time a fight breaks out.
This is scary.
But that may not be the case. Beyond may look to force something, knowing those ultimates aren't available. Humanoid just gets dove. Humanoid just gets killed, and Beyond just get it done.
Fantastic read from Beyond. Look at the right-hand side of your screen. No Razork ult, no Humanoid ult. Upset, Hilly, everyone is out of their ultimates, whereas Beyond had theirs fully locked and loaded. So Beyond just called the bluff, say, come on, Fnatic, you might have the lead, but we have more in the tank.
I love the fact that they went for it. I love the fact that they punished Fnatic there. Now they're thinking about fighting again. I don't know if I love this one. Kino's gonna try to get away. 200 HP left. Upset locks him down. Upset guns him down. Minji's coming in with a stolen Akali ulti, but they won't find a damn thing. Razork forces the flash out of Wako as Husha tries to peel over the wall. Wako wants to get away. The ulti nearly kills him, but not quite yet. Minji jumps in. Hilly's been baited. Hilly's been deleted. Minji goes right back up the wall looking for number 2. Razork wants to fight him off. Upset's coming in, but Upset won't save anybody. Double kill over to the Beyond mid laner, and he wants a triple. He goes in for the Kingslayer. He's finding them spells left, right, and center. Fnatic still trying to get their AD carry out of trouble, but it won't happen. Minji is a man on a mission.
And Wunder TP down as well. That means that Jax in the top lane is just going to start tunking his way through this topside turret. And overall, Beyond Gaming wake up finally in this game. These early skirmishes that we talked about paying dividends for the PCS representatives.
This one is a roller coaster, man. Fnatic was up 2,000 gold. Beyond punished them. Then it looks like they get greedy, but oh no, they were just baiting the trap. Humanoid wanting to walk away again, dodges the dredge line. Nicely done. But Beyond are showing this is not just going to be an easy game for Fnatic.
Hilly wants to make sure the Likai can't get as much out of this, though. Upset here, Razork here, the Jax could be in trouble.
All right, just gonna walk it off. Nobody else is close enough. Nobody else is close. That's a level 6 tree with a pair of shoes. He does not want any alone time with Jax.
Still though, this is fantastic here for Beyond, right? They get the dragon off of this, and the fact that Fnatic chase so desperately for Wako just opens up brilliantly for Minji. Minji, very late on this play, don't get me wrong. So they do end up losing Kino, but they end up chasing Wako directly into where Minji can just hop over the wall, and it's so well played by them just to bait Fnatic into overextending. Husha hitting over the wall as well means that they're able to set up beautifully, and Minji, with access to the perfect execution, he has so much mobility in this case. He's able to follow Razork easily, finishing off this kill as well. Top side, we got the plays.
Oh boy, we got the Rift Herald summing up. You said you wanted to see it bottom side. Well, Beyond wants to drop it top. They're looking to accelerate this Jax even further. They're only going to get the 2 guaranteed plates. Jax's Counter-Strike very good at avoiding some of that extra damage that would have been flying in from upset. Still a gold lead for Fnatic, but Beyond still have the advantage in kills. Not completely disengaging this one just yet, just making sure that Likai is able to get himself back and get that reset.
Look, sharing is caring, but sometimes you should just focus someone, because Likai, Wako, Husha, and Kino all got hands in those plates, so not a huge amount of gold distributed onto one person, but it does mean Wako and Kino still up here facing off against Upset and Hilly. No towers taken for Beyond just yet, despite the Rift Herald. I mean, in 2 minutes' time, we're going to have another fight, it feels like, in and around this Herald, and we'll have to see if Beyond will be able to take advantage of that one once more.
Yep, I fully expect it to be a fight over those neutral objectives. The game state is still pretty close, but Fnatic still keep finding these gold leads through their superior farming. It is a 35 CS lead in the AD carry role. It is a 20 CS lead in mid. It is 25 in the jungle. And even the Jax that was getting free firing time because of Wunder's teleport is down 25 CS. Fnatic is just farming way, way better.
And this is where we need to see Fnatic just recognizing that they have these leads and making sure they're playing as a team coming into these objectives, because the last fight that they lost was we don't have ultimates, we're leaving Humanoid isolated, we're giving the opportunities for Beyond to come in. Then they end up over chasing Beyond as well, so coming in with a bit more of a level head, taking these fights a little bit slower is going to play into Fnatic's hand, especially when you're starting to see mythics picked up across the board for them right now. They are in prime position for the Dragon in a minute's time, for the Rift Herald that's just about to spawn as well.
Exactly. As long as Fnatic don't get too cocky, you would expect them to have an edge getting into the mid portion of the game. It's one of the things that they were talking about on the show yesterday. When you have major regions going up against smaller regions, normally, if it stays close in laning phase, it'll get further apart during the team fights, right? Like, that's where you're going to see the increased coordination, the better shot calling, the better macro play. So that's what we want to see from Fnatic. For Beyond, I just want to see them keep it bloody.
Yeah, but the big thing for Fnatic here is that they don't have to face check, right? This is one of the big things about Maokai. Kino there trying to see if he can actually set up for a pick, and Hilly's like, I'm going to toss one of these bad boys in here. Oh, I found a Nautilus. I'm going to back away immediately. So it helps out Fnatic a little bit, even though they don't have vision control on topside river here, to slowly but surely establish themselves on this top half of the map. Beyond, though, actually in a pretty decent position here, because Hilly's the only one that can kind of play tank frontline here until Wunder can move in as he started to wander over.
Well, one of the big things I'm also noticing here, we've got level advantages in every role except AD carry for Fnatic. Remember that a level in League of Legends is worth like 300 to 500 gold in stats? So Fnatic is feeling pretty confident in their ability to take a fight. Hylissang's gonna fire off the ulti here at the very start. Rift Herald's gonna be taken low. Fnatic ready to start the fight off. Nice and easy. They've already secured the Herald. They're gonna get Kino too. Beyond just were not ready for this fight, and Fnatic gets the punish. Wako and Minji trying to get away, but Fnatic are not gonna let them get this recall. That is a 300 HP Kai'Sa. Only half health left on the Sylas too. They're gonna summon up the Herald to tank this. Bush is gonna come up, try to help these guys if he can. It's such a tough situation for Fnatic to try to be able to find this here, as Beyond are trying to get through. They're gonna fight back a little bit right now. Humanoid down to 300 HP, Beyond jumps in. Likai here in the counter strike, but he won't get nothing. Fnatic's ready to strike back. Likai is cut down by the 5-point strike as Wunder keeps the chase going. Kino's finally back in the picture, but the picture has already faded to black. Fnatic get the play.
Fnatic refuse to be denied groups. They want to make sure that they are planting themselves firmly in towards that 4-1 spot, but Beyond, it's just so unfortunate. Item difference, level difference, setup difference for Fnatic coming into that Rift Herald fight, and they get absolutely destroyed. Humanoid as well, even on the bottom side, TP's in to finish off a turret for himself.
It is snowballing out of control for Fnatic. The advantage they had in that fight between the levels, between the farm leads, the fact that they had the Maokai ulti already creeping through the perfect spot to drop it there in the river, beyond just, they were never winning that engage.
No, I mean, even when you look at where Humanoid was positioned in the 3-play as well, he's just corralling 2 members of Beyond, gaming up to his top side, buying a whole heap of time, upsets in a perfect position, like who the hell is going to deal any damage to where the Aphelios is? And as you say, look, Humanoid on towards Wako, on towards Minji, the 2 carries that are on this team aren't dealing any damage.
Nope.
So you just get this slow work through of Fnatic as they deal with the front line and then go, thank you very much. We'll continue on towards this dive with the Rift Tower that we just picked up and make sure Beyond are not having a good time.
Yeah, it feels really bad for Beyond here because you're just trapped into this turret. You know you're gonna die. Honestly, Minji does a pretty good job just trying to create some chaos with a stolen Akali ultimate. Meanwhile, back on live, the Drake was taken by Fnatic. The Rift Herald fight meant there was not a follow-up fight there for that one. But yeah, this fight just ended up not going Beyond's way. It's not a whole lot of surprise of anyone. Humanoid was able to go in with that flash 5-point strike to finish off the kill.
Yeah, there's no place like home is what Beyond is saying, but unfortunately they don't get to go home. And now Beyond, Likai taking a little bit of a rough spot in this top side. You got push in mid coming through for Fnatic as well. Even look at just the amount of wards that are littered all over this bot side jungle. Means that Razork can easily wander down into this bot side unspotted and just put pressure on towards Minji on this tier 2.
And Razork, man, on the grave, still has the level lead, still has a massive farm advantage. He's working on his 2nd item. Husha still does not have his mythic completed. As you're gonna see Minji walking away from that one. Hylissang throwing out the ulti. They lock down Husha. They're not interested in diving a Sejuani. They're just buying enough time to take that turret out. Now the fight. Goodbye, Minji. You didn't even need to waste that flash, buddy. That one was signed already. As Kino and Wako have to try to get away, but Humanoid wants some more. Gets hit with the Acathian Rain, but now all it does is set up Kino to be yet another death. Fnatic are taking complete control.
And this is the Fnatic that had that miracle run to get them to the World Championship. They came into Week 8 super weak with a 10% of scenarios where they could actually reach Worlds, and they played phenomenally. Now we're seeing them once more when the chips are down, stepping up huge. And once more, it's Humanoid Razork controlling the side lanes. Healy showing up with the Maokai, and Beyond are just left spinning with how quickly Fnatic are playing this.
I mean, there's a reason Fnatic is one of those orgs that's had so many international appearances, going back all the way to the Season 1 championship victory. They were one of the squads, one of the only Western squads, I think, in the last 10 years to actually make it to World Finals back there when they had to go up against IG in 2018. But this is a squad that you cannot underestimate. This is a squad that knows how to get these wins. And you can see one of the conversations that has been had about these guys, and even from the mouths of their own players, is, hey, we might not be the most coordinated in team fights. We might make some errors, but our individual level is so high, and that's a huge strength. Those individual strengths are showing up massively with the advantages in the lane matchups, with just those individual edges they've been able to hone for themselves.
Yeah, and especially when you look at guys like Razork as well, who's just been dictating the pace of this entire game. Massive CS lead, now with the Gore Drinker completed. Great item for Graves, especially when you look at the amount of melee champions that are here for Beyond. Yeah. It's going to be so difficult to kill Razork, and he knows it. He's just like, cool, let me just face tank this, because what the hell are you going to do about it?
Okay, Razork will just dash back out of the way of the Everfrost there. Husha does have his first item completed. It was not the Mythic. He's going for the Warmog's Rush after building Bombies to fulfill the HP requirement. I like this if you're up against a team that's got a lot of poke, if you're up against a situation where you're going to constantly get chipped down and chunked down. The thing is, like, I don't know how much of a chance you're going to get to use that against this Fnatic squad, because they just kind of want to go in. Bottom side, though, Wunder versus Likai. The Jax is feeling good in this split push situation, and that's about the only light shining in the darkness here for Beyond.
Yeah, I think for Fnatic, I like what they're trying to do, though, right? Wunder is just like, hey, I'll match on sides. Let's push in, though, get vision control, and see if we can get this mid lane turret down, because that's the last little bit of a bane of their existence for them right now. What? They're all in?
Okay, Razork's here in the front. They missed the Husha ulti, but they catch Razork out. Nicely done. Oh! Kino dies at the very end to Upset's long-range damage, but a teleport's coming in the bottom lane, and we'll see if they can find a punish on Likai. Wunder locking him down here with the Everfrost. Throws out the ulti, but the flash over the wall will keep Jax in good enough shape for now. He'll try to strike back, fight back, won't matter. Humanoid gets the kill.
Nice TP from Humanoid. That could have been a disaster for Fnatic. overextended in towards the top side jungle, but Humanoid gets one back, and now Upset gets one back, and Humanoid now TP and bot will net themselves a second one, even getting that mid lane turret as well. Now they can start to put their attention in towards looking at Baron, looking at the Dragon. That's in 50 seconds time, and starting to try to stack these up. Like, Razork way overextends here, right? You've got 4 members of Beyond Gaming that are all here. They have no real vision as to where they're set up, and he dashes in, so immediately they go in. Bit of a misflash as well, it feels like, going directly in towards Kino rather than trying to get away, but Beyond happily take it, but Upset, just with the Inferno Molt over the wall, managed to pip one back.
That was a limit testing flash 100%. That's the I'm Chad Graves and I'm a full item ahead and it's a gore drinker. I'm gonna flash in and try to take one of you with me. It doesn't end up working out. He finally gets his man here a couple minutes later. And unfortunately for Beyond, there's 10 seconds left on the Drake timer. So Fnatic with that kill, the world is theirs.
I mean, do you need Drake when there's a Baron? I mean, no jungle for Husha, or sorry, no support here for Kino. Means that it's going to be very difficult for Beyond to try and contest this, and Fnatic kind of know it. Likai is very overextended. He might actually need to TP out of this one.
Oh boy, Beyond are pressed in a very hard situation right now because Fnatic are already on the Baron. Humanoid's going after the Jax. This Akali, 5-2-2, trying to 1v1 this champion just ain't gonna work. Humanoid kills him through Counter-Strike underneath the turret. That's about as good as you can do it. As Wunder tries to keep everybody else zoned away. Husha wants to go into the pit, try to steal it away. It's gonna be stolen! Husha gets the Baron!
And they're looking for Humanoid as well. Kino is on the hunt. Fnatic trying to make sure they can save Humanoid from the encroaching disaster. But look at where Beyond are moving to. They may not have a jungler, but they're moving down towards this Dragon to make sure that Fnatic can't try and steal that one away as well.
That was massive. You gotta go for those in a game where you're 8,000 gold down. You can't just give them the Baron or they're gonna run you over. Yeah, you got about a 5% chance of stealing it, but it looks like Husha just made it happen.
And for Fnatic, it's so difficult for them to actually siege up without something like the Baron buff. They're super short range. They don't really get to try and attack the turret. So not having access to that is going to be a bit of a disaster. And look, giving up a second Dragon to Fnatic ain't going to be too much. You still got another 5 to 10 minutes before that really becomes relevant. And maybe you can get that third item on towards your Kai'Sa. Maybe the Sylas can get up towards his third as well. But Humanoid absolutely destroying Likai in this side. Gets the perfect execution, gets the auto attack, and manages to just walk on out easy as you like.
And there was never a moment in that rundown where Jax turned around or tried to fight. That was a full retreat, and Humanoid still got him. Then let's watch the smite here. Boom, instant. I saw 1147, and then I saw it gone.
Yeah. Immediately. It looked like just there was a bit of burst damage that actually came through from Fnatic's side and gave that edge over towards Husha. Just manages to get the smite before he dies, and now that's going to buy Beyond so much time here. Fnatic still will be able to push in some of these waves, start to get the vision in towards Beyond's side of the map, but it's so hard now for Fnatic to actually try and close this one out. It feels like you're going to be waiting for the likes of the Baron to come back up, looking at this Dragon in form in its time, and that buys a bit more space for Beyond.
Well, that gold graph is looking like an ocean of red, though, my friend. Beyond still have an incredible mountain to climb if they want to try to take out Fnatic and throw this group into chaos. Fnatic might just lose their support here. Nice catch from Husha there with the ulti accuracy. They would have rather had Razork, but they'll take Hilly.
Hey, I mean, look, if you got to get yourself out of the Mariana Trench, well, that's definitely one way to start it, and it's looking pretty good. Yeah. I mean, look, the Mariana bench coming through right now for Beyond Gaming to try and get out of this, but it's a good start. Now you can look towards this mid lane turret. You have the Baron up creeps here as well. There's still these objective bounties to try and collect too, so every little going to help here for Beyond.
Okay, Beyond still grouped up as a team. They know that Humanoid is so fed that if anybody gets caught out alone, it doesn't matter if it's Minji, it doesn't matter if it's Likai, they're just dead, 100%. So there's power in numbers here for Beyond Game.
Yeah, and they're about to use those numbers. Moving up towards this top side, they'll make sure that Likai gets at least one here for themselves. Humanoid is sticking around, though, and he's waiting for these members to disappear so he can jump onto the Jax.
This is what I'm talking about, man. If you leave somebody behind, you're leaving them for the wolves. And Humanoid is the one who will lead the way. Wunder coming up behind him to provide a little bit of extra knockdown. There comes that Shuriken flip. Goodness gracious, that thing does as much damage as an ulti. Razork goes for the kill. Likai barely gets away. Husha's gonna be punished now, though, as everybody from Fnatic joins the party, and Humanoid's the one getting gifted.
Husha dies for the sins of his teammates. Likai sticks that little bit too long on that top side and ends up getting caught out. Nicely done by Humanoid, though. The patience coming through to make sure he could get that pick. Minji on this bottom side, though, trying to see if he can push in, but Humanoid should be able to get there to make sure they can't get another tower, and it's actually going to be Fnatic who get the tier 2 out of that one.
Fnatic feeling good about it. We've got about 2 minutes before both of our neutral objectives are back on the map. This is where I'm expecting to see everybody sort of start those recalls, grab the control wards, get ready for the setup. I'm interested how they're going to play around this.
Yeah, especially when you look towards upset, right? So close to his Infinity Edge. That's where this Aphelios really does come online, and he's going to be seeing if he can grab a little bit more underneath his belt before this dragon comes up. Beyond, though, looking for the pick. I don't know if they can really get much done here. Humanoid playing safely underneath his tower, denying the wave actually hitting the tower, means they can't look for the dive before the rest of Fnatic come back out onto the map.
It's so hard to dive Akali in the first place through the smoke. Like, the champion is so elusive. There won't be anything to find here for Beyond. Towers, a huge part of this game as well. 5-1 in favor of Fnatic, who have just had control over the Rift for such a long time.
I'm trying to figure out what Beyond's game plan is here, because it feels like you kind of do need to fight Fnatic, but it's so hard. They're going to be so incredibly strong coming into this. Like, the resets are about to come through. I feel like Upset will more than likely have that Infinity Edge completed, and maybe you could try and leave Likai on this top side to keep pushing, but, I mean, Wunder's able to clear out these waves fairly handily at this stage. You don't really have the damage to just ignore him, so now you kind of are forced as Beyond Gaming to try and fight for this next objective, but I just don't see a world where, unless you find a pick beforehand, you can really make anything happen.
Well, it's a hard situation to navigate for Beyond Gaming. The other problem, these buffs are pretty closely synced in the time that they spawn, but they're just desynced enough that if Beyond doesn't challenge Fnatic, they can burst down the dragon instantly and rotate over to the Baron in time that Beyond wouldn't be able to try to take it as some sort of a response.
Yeah, and Fnatic have even done a really good job of just setting up the waves, right? You can see Minji's got to clear that bot side wave, so you buy space now for Fnatic to push in mid, get control over both the bottom side of the map and on the top side so they can go for that play. Just talk about flowers, so overall, Fnatic just in a great spot here, and again, Beyond not really in a position to look for the picks.
Yep.
And now their backs are against the wall. What is the decision? Looks like they're not even going to try and contest the dragon. They're like, hey, look, we're going to look for the top tier 2 instead. Try and position for Baron and just give up this third dragon.
And you can see Razork just soloing the dragon himself. It's very easy for a 3-item Graves to take care of that one. The rest of Fnatic just going to run interference, keep Beyond in their sights, mark these guys, figure out where everybody is, make sure they're not up to anything tricky. Husha jumps in, the stun on Humanoid underneath the turret, but it doesn't matter. Akali's got the smoke. She just walks out of it. That was Beyond's big engage mechanism, and Humanoid lost 15% HP. It bought time for Razork to get the Drake. Fnatic are loving this.
Even bought space for Wunder to move up to that top side to protect. Now the TP behind.
Oh, Humanoid getting caught here, though. Stasis is going to protect him, and now the Aphelios ulti immediately turns the fight in the favor of Fnatic. It's already 2 down, already 3 down. Husha trying to stand and fight, but Wunder's looking to find even more. Domination for Humanoid, domination for Fnatic, and an absolute wash of a fight as Likai's the only one who can get himself away. Humanoid still chasing after him here as Fnatic will head over to Baron.
Beyond are gone out of this game quickly. Moving up now towards that top side. Fnatic will get Baron. Wunder going to take the mid tier 2. That's all outer turrets now gone. And with the Baron picked up, this Red Bull Baron power play is going to be fairly sizable for Fnatic if it doesn't just end the game outright.
I would expect it to probably just be the end of the game. You put the importance earlier on how much Fnatic needs this Baron to be able to siege, how much that immunity to the spells is going to matter. And now this is actually an even worse scenario for Beyond, because now you've got 50 seconds of a 5v4. They're already recalling. They're already ready to push with this Baron. It's looking like trouble, my friend.
Yeah, Humanoid just gets to clear out this wave. He has the TP as well, so we can join in at any point in time. Wunder sticking around just a little bit because I know there's a lot of Beyond Gaming members in the area. How big of a gamer can Humanoid be, though? Because I don't know if Beyond are going to go for much, but he needs to outplay this massively with that ult bar.
No, he knows he's fine. He's just going to walk away, collects the little bit of a health pack from Gromp there by getting the last hit on it. Razork goes over the wall. He's 1v2, but he don't even care. He goes in for the extra damage. Kino won't die just yet, but Humanoid's there to make sure that the hope dies with him. Beyond, just as they're about to get their 5th man back, the 4th man dies.
And it's a Rabadon Death Cap that was picked up for Humanoid on that reset as well. So this Akali has become an even bigger pain. Fnatic now, all members on the bottom side, they're going to make sure they can punish Beyond for thinking they could step into their territory.
Fnatic is ready to walk it in bottom lane. That turret is just gone. It folds like paper. Fnatic with a 5 versus 4. They're ready to siege up the Nexus turrets and take them down. Wako knocked right back into his fountain here as the first Nexus turret falls, and Fnatic will continue moving forward. They zone Likai away there with the power of the Everfrost. Everybody on Fnatic still full HP. They've got another wave pushing up mid. They're going to Baron enchant that one for a little bit, but now bottom lane's ready to go once more. Another wave that Beyond has to try and survive. They are 12,000 gold behind. Whenever Fnatic decides to go for this, you have to think it's going to be a win. There goes your Maokai ulti. Stasis is trying to be used. Humanoid's already got 1. They're going to find a 2nd. Minji and Kino are down. Humanoid barely keeping himself alive as Likai tries to finish him off. Humanoid's got 200 HP, but that's 200 too much if you're Beyond Gaming. Likai continues trying to defend underneath the turret, but that turret's not going to be able to keep him alive forever. He's still got a little bit left in the tank, but Fnatic are taking over the entire base. 35 seconds on Minji, 15 on Kino. Hylissang popping a stopwatch now as well. Upset goes in for the AD carry on AD carry combat, and it's going to go his way every time. That will do it. Beyond tried, but Fnatic is back in form after yesterday's loss, and they are here to keep this group in their control. They take the win.
Fnatic move to 4-1 and separate themselves from the masses, making sure there will be no 3-2 hijinks today. Fnatic make sure they're able to solidify that one, and in spectacular fashion as well. 23-7, Fnatic looking strong once more.
I said their fate was still in their hands. They were one of the only 2 teams that was allowed to have that reality going into this final day of groups. And man, they took control massively. The individual skill of the players just outclassing their opponents in every lane.
Yeah, fate was in their hands and they clapped. Like, absolutely bodying Beyond Gaming. And unfortunate for Beyond Gaming, right? They were hoping they'd be able to come into today, pick themselves up another win, put themselves into contention for moving up into that higher portion of the bracket, but not going to be the case. Fnatic putting them right down into that 2 and 3 spot.
It's a tough spot to be. It means that even if you make it through to the best 5, you're probably going to have one of those scary situations. So not the way Beyond Gaming would have liked to see it. They had some good moments. They had some good plays. If we think back to the punish, like in the bottom lane where Minji was able to pop off and Fnatic got a little bit too greedy, Beyond had some good moments. It's just Fnatic's players were so much better. Those leads that they had in gold and in level advantages, it came to be too much when push came to shove.
Yeah, the big advantages from the laning phases that we saw just teetered over into that Rift Herald fight. We saw them come in with completed mythics. They had the level advantage. They absolutely smashed Beyond in that fight. And from that point forward, it was just Beyond scrambling to try and get back into it. Likai, unfortunately, feeling very tough in these side lanes where he was supposed to be the dominant person.
If you're a Fnatic fan, you're loving this game. If you're a Beyond fan, there were some bright spots to find, but the road is now much tougher. Beyond Gaming made it interesting, but with that win, Fnatic have secured 1st or 2nd in the group, guaranteed. For more info on how the rest of the day is shaping up, let's hand it back to the State Farm Analyst Desk.
Thank you so much, Captain Flowers, and welcome back to the State Farm Analyst Desk. He's exactly right. Fnatic have
he's doing our job for us.
I know, he's doing part of it. I'll tell you this much. We are guaranteed to have 2 tiebreakers now at the end of the day. Group A will have 2 tiebreakers. There are still a couple different scenarios that can take place, which give us those 2 tiebreakers, but at least 2 extra games of League of Legends are played here today. Let's talk about it, though. Fnatic, they do get it done. And on the back end of just some good fundamentals, some, gold picked up by being, the better hands. But BYG did make them work for it, and it got a little scary in the mid-game.
Yeah, in terms of draft, I actually liked what Fnatic picked up here for themselves. I think they had a very nice responsive draft. I think the way that BYG kind of slotted themselves into a very specific comp is something they've done earlier in the tournament. Then they didn't get punished. This time around, they definitely did, because trying to play a comp like that into Aphelios, Maokai, and Gragas was not.
Yeah, there's always... Oh, yeah, I agree. I think there's always risk whenever you early pick your specifically there's first pick Sylas and third pick Kai'Sa, kind of tunneled them into a very short range composition. When they already saw, especially when they picked in Kai'Sa, the Maokai early. So I was like, ooh, this is going to be a tough one. And then, of course, usually when you put your AD to 4-5, it's like, okay, it's going to be a tight squeeze on some of the bans. But he had 3 picks available. And the 2 bans that came through, MF and Caitlyn, is something that we expected, but he had the Aphelios. And so I thought it was just a really smart draft from Fnatic's side, knowing that they had range advantage front to back was solid from them. And overall, just strong laning phase.
Yeah, that's really what it comes down to for me, because if you were to pay attention to just kill score, the game would have felt a lot closer. But in reality, while BYG, even in trades like this, we're getting technically the better of it. First blood going over to Minji, plus wave in a better spot. The CS leads still amount for Fnatic.
Yeah, this was the one play early that it was really good for Minji. But by this play, he was already behind. And so as you can see across the board, by 14 minutes, all these lanes had massive leads, a larger one in upset. Even at the 8-minute mark, it was about a 10 CS lead there for the bot side of the map. And so it was just something that you needed to see beyond actually at least Husha to really interact with his lanes early to get them out of this hole.
And the reason we bring that up is because even after a play like this, right, a big skirmish, still early in the game, BYG coming well out on top again in terms of kill score chronicler, but right after this play was over, still ahead in team gold for Fnatic.
And that is why it's so hard as a minor region to cross that gap to beat the major regions, and why in so many of these games, even if a major region team falls behind, you're like, let's see what happens as it opens up, because as many permutations as you get on the map at that point makes it so much harder, and that's a gap that is so much more esoteric and harder to break down. And you see it not just in the laning phase, but like the amount of CS that Fnatic got just by better wave management, by being on top of their rotations, right? Like first we shove out the wave, then we rotate. If you do that 3 or 4 times, like they got, I think, 3-4K gold just off of doing that consistently.
Yeah, the Herald setups for sure is what killed them. So even though we're being generous to the point of that, like in these replays, we saw a lot of highlights from Minji. But at the end of the day, Fnatic felt very comfortable. For me, credit out there is going to Gragas, Wunder, who was there in the fights consistently. He actually, in a tougher matchup, of course, not wanting to be in the bot side of the map for too long versus the Jax, just when the lane was even, immediately buzzlined it, straight towards the Rift Herald, and so he was just a bigger impact in those fights. So great ulti that he had in the first Rift Herald fight that really nailed it for them. So nice from Fnatic to be able to bounce back off of the loss that they had last time.
Yeah, oh, definitely. That's a nice rebound for them, especially as they might be, staring down a tie break against EG to secure that number 1 seed, which we know that they will want. I love the point, though, about the faith in major region teams in games where maybe they fall behind because of the mid game, and okay, when the map opens up. And that's the thing for me is you saw the turret scores there on the PGB, only 1 turret secured for Beyond, right? But as the turrets are falling on the other side of the map, Fnatic now has space to work with, and that's where we see those setups. We see the vision control and the capitalization in picks coming later.
There's just so much from vision control, like the way that Fnatic chokes out the bot side vision, gets like a lot of damage down on turrets, to teamfight setup. Rez already mentioned the way that they played around Rift Heralds, but even any other objective, even though they gave up a free Baron that they had no reason, didn't have to do that at all. But because because the fundamentals up until that point were so much better than Beyond, it didn't even matter.
And I know we talked about the draft already, emphasize how valuable the Maokai early pick is, because hey, they kind of showcased that it wasn't a Maokai jungle really early on with the Graves pick because they already saw the Sejuani. But it's so flexible. You can play the Maokai top lane or support for a front-to-back team fight, or you can throw Maokai jungle like what we've been seeing from Evil Geniuses and play towards your side lanes a little bit more, your solo lanes. And so it's like, it really is such a valuable pick, and I expect teams to be banding that more.
Yeah, I know Aatrox had that 100% percentage, presence rather, on that graphic, but I think Maokai is going to be the pick of Worlds. Laura standing by with Fnatic's jungler Razork after that dominant win and booking themselves a ticket to the main stage.
Welcome back to Mexico for the Verizon post-game interview. Joining me right now is Razork from Fnatic. Thank you so much. You managed to bounce back after yesterday quite nicely, if I may say so, but I want to talk about the early game because it sounded like the early skirmishes, especially on the bot lane, you were a bit hasty, maybe? How did you correct your approach not to be overwhelmed by the boss and engage composition that they had?
Well, we just realized that we were going too fast. I think one team fight, I went too deep, and then the Sylas got the montage.
But I think then we just realized we just front to back. We have Gragas, Maokai. We knock back the melees when they go for carries, and we just kill them.
Yeah, managed to correct things quite nicely. But I also want to talk about the game from yesterday, because looking at the last games you played, you're the initiator for Fnatic. You have had this role since playoffs now. And when I look at the Hylissang and Graves games you had, they were so much different compared to the Sejuani game you had yesterday. What was the issue then?
Well, I mean, I think we were not very comfortable with the draft that we were playing. I feel like I can play Sejuani, I can play any role the team needs, and I think yesterday we played something that we didn't have practice on, and it's like kind of the Asian style to pick the Fiora and stomp lane. I think this doesn't work too well for us, or at least it didn't work yesterday, and then like we just need to see what style is the best for us. Like it happened in playoffs, we understand the meta really good, then we are really good. But I feel like right now it's hard to know what's the meta or what are we doing, because we are barely playing scrims. Kinda, we can't really play. So yeah.
I know. I mean, all of the players mention it actually. The lack of scrims. I don't even want to mention COVID because it hits you guys so hard. But you guys are granted either first or second now in planes. Given everything that happened, what do you think of the result, and does it match the expectations you had coming in planes?
Of course, I'm very happy. I think it could have been 10 times better if we won yesterday and we went 5-0, then we wouldn't have to wait for EG to play and maybe play tiebreaker against them. But yeah, I mean, my expectations are coming against in the playoffs were like pretty high, honestly. I think that we were coming with a really good level since the semi-final. Even though we lost against Rogue, I feel like the team was very like well together and we were like playing good. And I mean, coming into this playing after all that happened with Rax and like upset, like barely screaming, solo queue not going very good with the pieces and stuff, I think I'm very happy.
All right, I will ask you later about your first experience at Worlds. Once you get used to it, you may get first depending on whether either EG or DFM wins later. What do you think on the match, and who's going to take this one?
I think DFM is going to take it, hopefully. I mean, I don't mind playing a tiebreaker. I think we can beat EG again, for sure. But it's more relaxing to like just staying at home and preparing for the group stage.
Would be nice to have things going easily for Fnatic for once. Razork, thank you so much for the interview. Best of luck for what's next. And that's all for us here. We'll see you after the second game. Stay tuned.
Minji jumps in. Hilly's been baited. Hilly's been deleted. Minji goes right back up the wall looking for number 2. Razork wants to fight him off. Upset's coming in, but Upset won't save anybody.
Yeah, good fight, I think. Really good fight. Now no flash.
Yeah. Oh, Humanoid getting caught here, though. Stasis is going to protect him. And now the Aphelios ulti immediately turns the fight in the favor of Fnatic. It's already 2 down, already 3 down. Husha trying to stand and fight, but Wunder's looking to find even more domination for Humanoid. Domination for Fnatic. And an absolute wash of a fight.